I'm Mike.
And I'm Adam.
And this is Stuff and Waffle. Two friends talking about stuff, and often as not, waffling with frequent reference to Bond cars.
Here we are for the final part of the Stuff and Waffle Museum of Glorious Things. Let's see what exhibits await. Right, I've forgotten your list. Where are we going now?
We're going into my iconic room now.
That was it, yep.
Every car here is unique or historically important in some way.
Okay.
That was the thinking behind this room.
Solid thought.
Well, I think so.
Mm.
Now, right up front, again, I'm going to get this out of the way. We're going to have a Tesla Model S. We're going to have a pre-facelift, a very early one, probably pre-autopilot, a 2013 or 2014.
Mm-hmm.
If you could find a Founders Edition, that would be amazing, but they're very, very hard to get hold of. 85 kilowatt hour version.
Okay.
It is an iconic car. It was the first of its kind. It was the first long-range, mass-produced pure electric car.
Well,
yes, they'd shown that the tech worked with the Roadster, but the Model S sparked, no pun intended, sparked a revolution. It showed the world that electric cars could work in the real world, and for that alone, I think it belongs in an icons section.
Well, you had one as well,
and I had one. I did indeed, and very proud to have had one.
Yeah,
it was fantastic. Yeah, I'm very fortunate to have been able to have what I consider to be an iconic car, and I stand by that. I think it belongs in this section. It's right up there with the Model T Ford and a number of other cars that I'm going to come on to mention. But yeah, right up front, a Tesla Model S, I think, absolutely belongs in the iconic section.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll have that.
Moving on from there.
Go on then.
You can argue this is sort of similar, although it's technology-wise, it's not. But again, I think it certainly was the first of its kind, and it helped get us to the Tesla Model S, and that's the Toyota Prius. Now, the Prius had a lot of faults, but it moved the argument towards more sustainable transport, and although it was a hybrid, more got people thinking about electrification. It served its purpose, and it was extremely popular for a while. It's a shame Toyota didn't build on that technology, but they didn't.
Yeah, they've lagged behind a bit.
They went down hydrogen route, and they're only just now beginning to admit that was perhaps a bit of a mistake, and have now, in fact, just last week, have said that they are going to start making battery electric cars after all. So I think they've realized they went the wrong way after the Prius. But I do think the Prius was iconic. I think it was the first of its kind. It wasn't the first hybrid, but it was the first hybrid that really worked. It had enough electric range to work in the real world to make it worthwhile. And it did move the argument on. It got people thinking about it. I think it deserves a place.
No, you can have it. That you've justified its place.
I think so. It was either that or a Nissan Leaf, but a Nissan Leaf, although another very important car, I think the Model S, in terms of pure electric, is probably more important.
Yeah, so no one's going to get excited over a Leaf, I'm afraid.
I don't think so. No. I wouldn't expect anyone to get particularly excited over a Prius, although people did.
At the time, yeah.
Yeah. It was the first of its kind, and it did move things on. So, yeah, Toyota Prius. Now, my next choice is completely different to both of those.
Got him.
In every conceivable way. I am having a World War II Willys Jeep.
You see, I could have predicted that.
I love them. They're just, again, iconic. It was it was the first of its kind. It was the first. Could argue it was the world's first SUV in a way, but the car that won World War II, as Eisenhower famously said,
Allegedly.
allegedly, and the car that sparked the Land Rover. The boss of Land Rover had an ex-World War II Willys Jeep down on his farm.
Yeah.
And he was so impressed with it, he thought, we've got to build one of these. We've got to do something like this. This is fantastic.
Yeah. I love the fact that that's in there.
Yeah.
I'm up for that.
The Willys Jeep has to be. I mean, they built them in such colossal numbers. I mean, obviously, a lot of them were destroyed. They were built under license by several different companies, including Ford. They were just so simple and designed to be repaired with a hammer and a bit of string, out on the front line and just be beaten to death and still work. It's just such a simple machine. I have been lucky enough to have a go in one many years ago. It's incredibly uncomfortable.
Yes, it's not a luxury vehicle.
No, it was not. And I always thought it was slightly strange that they put the fuel tank under the driver's seat when it was designed to go into combat.
Oh dear.
That was an interesting choice. And they always said famously, generals and things always used to ride in the front because the back seat was just completely unacceptable. So they always insisted on either driving themselves or at least sitting in the front. The back seat was just horrific. So yeah, World War II Willys Jeep, an original one, if you can find one, would be wonderful. All stenciled up and yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice. I mean, I'm sure someone will find it for us.
Oh yeah, we'll send some scouts out. Yes. So we're now going again in another completely different direction, but definitely an iconic car. The Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Gullwing.
The world's first supercar.
The world's first supercar. Absolutely. Iconic silhouette with the doors open, the fold down steering wheel so that you get into it, the high sills. Yeah, like you say, the world's first supercar.
They're very. I've seen a few, and they are incredibly small things as well.
Yeah, well, cars were then.
I think it's bloody lovely. The proportions are perfection on that.
It was beautiful, wasn't it? Absolutely beautiful. From every angle. It's a stunning car. Could find one in white. I think that would work.
It's a difficult one. I mean, it's very difficult to get taken away from the usual silver with the red interior. That's where your head immediately goes to.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, for me, I think white is more evocative of that period. But yeah, like you say, you're not going to turn one down in any color, are you?
No, you'll probably be all right. Yeah,
you'd be all right with that. So yeah, a 300 SL Gullwing, I think that definitely belongs. Next choice is along the same lines, and that would be a Lamborghini Miura.
Well, the world's first production car mid-engined?
I think so, yeah. The first Italian supercar, I believe.
Yes, and odd in the sense it was transverse V12 as well.
Very true. And the iconic doors with the horns of the bull.
Yes.
So low and sleek. Yeah. And I believe it wasn't even an official project. It was some guys working in their spare time that put it together.
What a glorious project it was.
Absolutely. So I think, yeah, Lamborghini Miura definitely belongs in the icon section.
Very good. Yeah.
Love that. Staying along the same theme, but we're going in a slightly different direction. A Ford GT40.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The car that Henry Ford ordered his British division to build when he was so furious with Enzo Ferrari for pulling out of the deal when Ford was trying to buy Ferrari. And I believe he ordered his British division to build a car that would beat the Italians at Le Mans, and it did.
And it did. It not just once. It did it 4 years in a row.
4 times on the trot. Yes, absolutely. It certainly achieved the goal. He was so angry with Ferrari that, destroy them.
Yep, that was good. Like that.
So I think we have to have a GT40 in there, an original GT40, not a kit car, although the new one, well, I say new, not the latest one. What was it?
In between one. Yeah.
2004 one. I've got a real soft spot for. I really like those, but I think for this purpose, it would have to be an original.
Yeah, I like that.
For GT40, a little bit of motorsport in there for you.
I'm very happy with you there.
I thought you would be, yes. Now, for the rest of this collection, we're coming back to slightly more ordinary stuff, perhaps, but stuff that I still think qualifies as iconic. And I'm going to go here with a Mark I Renault Espace.
Yeah, I see why that's in there, because that was a transformation. It revolutionized car buying.
Yeah, it did. It was the first of its kind. It not only was a new type of car for that manufacturer, it invented a whole new sector, a whole new segment of the market. And it was one of those cars that really changed the industry, really. It made every other mainstream manufacturer, come out with something similar within a very short space of time. It was a car that, although not initially successful, became enormously successful to the point where everyone else said, we need to do one of those.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think the Espace. And my next choice, I think it did the same thing, and that would be the Mark I Ford Focus. Now, that's a car that you could easily dismiss, but again, if you look at it in the context of the time it was made, it did change the face of car design.
It did.
It was so radical.
Fondly.
We all love a Mark I Focus. Arguably the best of all the Focuses. I don't think any of the other Focuses ever, or any other Ford really, had that kind of impact. It was such a striking, bold design, and within 2 years, every other manufacturer had copied it.
Yeah,
it was so different,
but not as well at any point.
No, I don't think so. And not only did it look bold, it was very clever in its design. It drove brilliantly.
Yeah.
Independent rear suspension, which no other car in its class had. It handled brilliantly. Really torquey little 1.6 engine. It was great. It blew the market apart. And Ford didn't get enough credit for the original Focus. It was really, really good.
Yeah.
So I think it belongs in the. If I'm building an icon section, there has to be a Mark I Focus in there.
Yeah, no arguments there.
Preferably in that kind of pale metallic green they launched it in.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Quite a nice colour, that actually.
Quite a nice colour. Yeah, absolutely. And we'll have nothing fancy. I think a 1.6 GL would do us fine.
Yeah. Absolutely fine.
Absolutely. So my next choice for this section, we're gonna touch on motorsport again here.
This is good.
And I'm confident in this choice. An Audi Quattro.
Oh yes.
Oh, yeah. Yes. The 4-wheel drive rally king. Not since the days of the Ford Escort Mexico have we had something that landed on the rally scene like the Audi Quattro.
Yes, it caught everyone napping. That did.
It did, didn't it? It caught everyone out. Yeah. And although it had quite a rudimentary 4-wheel drive system,
it was still 4-wheel drive.
It was still 4-wheel drive, and everyone else wasn't. Yes.
Well, this is true. I mean, the only time it even got close to being rivaled was when Lancia were incredibly. It's not sneaky or anything like that, but it was all about the tactics with the 037.
Yeah.
The last 2-wheel drive car to win the WRC Championship, Manufacturers Championship only. Actually,
Oh, very good.
interestingly, that was 1983.
Very good. Yes, I remember the 37.
And
Yeah.
that was it. It was 4-wheel drive ever since. I mean, because Audi
Yeah.
introduced the Quattro, blimey, 81. And that's
Right.
when it
Yes.
it trounced everyone. And yeah, we've not looked back since.
No, absolutely not. As I say, it not since the days of the Escort Mexico really has something made that bigger impact.
And it made everyone react.
Yeah, it did exactly that. Which is why I think it fits in. That's what this section really is about. It's about cars that made people sit up and think, "Oh, hang on a minute, that changes everything." And I think all of these cars did that.
Yeah.
And that's what this section is about. Really, it's not as big as some of the other sections, but I think they're all they can all justify their places there.
Yeah, I like that.
And I'm sure there's plenty other cars that we could fit in there, but it's a modest collection, but that's my choice for my icons room.
Okay, right. So it's back over to me for this bit.
Back over to you for this next one. Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
Where are we at?
Right. Okay. Well, think about it then. I'm gonna take your Audi Quattro, and I'm gonna borrow from that.
Okay.
Because I've got 2 sections left, but it seems sensible to follow on. Keep a motorsport theme going here.
We haven't had an overlap yet, have we? Neither of us has chosen a car that the other one has, I don't think.
No, I think my last section, possibly we might have an overlap. It depends what you pick, really, but I doubt it. So I think we're fairly safe now.
Very good.
But yeah, we're going to go for the motorsport collection.
Right, I knew there'd be one.
Yes, so this is important, and this you'll be fine with, because you'll have heard of, I would assume, quite a bit of it, if not all of it.
I'm sure.
I'm gonna attempt to do it in chronological order.
Okay,
so
that's good. That's good.
So for me, we're gonna kick off proceedings with Porsche, and it'll be
Porsche.
Yes, but it's not a 911. You're all right.
Okay, we're all right.
It's the 1970 Le Mans winning Porsche 917K.
Okay.
Those just brilliant cars.
Yeah. Okay.
You immediately think, well, that's Steve McQueen.
You do, don't you?
Yeah. So this was the car driven by Hans Hermann and Richard Atwood. It had that ridiculous engine, the 4.5 litre Type 912 flat 12.
Yes.
And it was still air cooled as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's proper Porsche. Just lunatic engine, that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that flying down the Mulsanne, it doesn't get any more Le Mans than that.
No, that is extremely Le Mans, isn't it? Yes, absolutely. Sorry, Le Mans.
Oh no. No, you're not Robert Duvall.
I'm not.
No,
in any way. No.
Oh God, no Le Mans. No. Good heavens. That's probably my most retro reference. Actually, that one. Everything else is in my lifetime, shall we say?
Right. Okay.
And this is one that you'll agree with immediately. And it's the 1994 Volvo 850 Estate that was entered in the BTCC.
Oh yeah.
That's got a bit of crossover. That could end up in your iconic room. That one.
Yes, it could, couldn't it? Yes, it could.
Everyone remembers that. You remember? There's that brilliant shot of those. Thruxton's got those fierce curbs at the chicane.
Yeah.
That everyone's got that photo of it on 2 wheels.
I've just found that photo. I've just Googled it, and it's actually the first photo on Google Images. If you search for Volvo 850 BTCC, that's the first picture that comes up.
Yeah, those just brilliant marketing.
It's on two wheels, but the wheels are still pushed up into the wheel arches. That's how unforgiving the suspension was.
No spine.
No.
No, and that was it was only campaigned for a year, driven by Jan Lammers and Ricard Rydell, but
Very
it's the
good.
one everyone remembers.
Yeah, just classic, isn't it?
Yeah,
The Volvo 850, it was a really good car anyway, but that one, yeah, incredible. And in its Securicore livery.
Oh yeah. That's it's just brilliant, and I mean, we all remember sitting there watching that at the time and thinking, how have they done this? Why have they rolled out an estate? But it worked.
Again, and it had many followers. A Volvo estate doing things like that.
Yes, and it was in safe hands as well because it was I'm going in with confidence, but it was TWR that prepared them.
It has TWR logos on the boot. Yes.
Okay,
So
that's
you
right.
you are correct.
The memory is right then.
Yes, it is. Yes, I can see their logo on the picture. Yes,
that's all right then. Yeah, so you're in safe hands.
Yes, you are. Good choice. We'll have one of those.
Okay, moving swiftly on to the following year, and that will be from 1995. It'll be Colin McRae's championship-winning Subaru Impreza 555. Interestingly, the competition model was called 555 because of the sponsorship.
Okay.
It didn't carry any specific Subaru model number. It borrowed from the iconic tobacco sponsorship.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, very good. Yes, I have found a picture of same. Yes.
Yeah. It's the one that nobody expected the young upstart to beat Carlos Sainz.
Yeah.
And well, there he is.
There he is. Yeah.
It's just a lunatic in Impreza, and it was that everyone remembers it. Most people even remember the number plate as well. It was L555BAT.
Okay, I'm obviously not looking at a picture of the original because the. Oh, there it is. Yes, no, I've just found it. Yes, L555BAT. You're right. Yeah.
So yeah, that's going in there.
Perfectamundo, sir.
We'll keep the years rolling one by one.
Oh yes, you're doing this chronologically, aren't you?
We are, yeah. It's just purely coincidence that it's 1 year after another at the moment,
Okay.
and it's we'll head into the world of Formula One. We'll have Damon Hill's 1996 championship winning Williams FW18.
Okay.
That had that wonderful Renault RS8 3-litre V10 engine, screaming just gloriousness.
It's very Formula One, that, isn't it?
It is, and you could argue that he was just the gentleman of the sport as well. He was just very endearing to the fans. His main rival was his teammate, who was Jacques Villeneuve. It was his first year in Formula One. While he was a rival, Damon took it upon himself to kind of take him under his wing slightly as well. He was always very helpful. He was always the first person to put the arm around him if he'd had a blunder. It was to be admired, really.
Yeah, very good. Now he's always come across as a jolly decent chap.
Yes, got a lot of time for Damon. We then move on to the year 2000.
Oh, big jump.
Big jump. And we're going to move on and we're going to have Michael Schumacher's championship winning Ferrari F1 2000. After 4 years of everyone going, is he going to do it? He did it.
Yes.
That was Ferrari's first drivers' championship for 21 years. Everyone seems to forget that little fact, going, oh, Ferrari are brilliant in Formula One. They really weren't for quite a while.
They hadn't been for a long time. Yes. Yeah.
And his sheer determination has to be admired. He went into a car in '96 that was actually, I mean, it was awful. It was. Everyone soon realised after testing, and they went, "Wow, that is properly crap."
Right.
Didn't stop him getting a win that year,
But he went out anyway. Yeah.
but it was awful. And yeah, he worked tirelessly for 4 years and got there in the end. And then when he got there, he stayed there.
Yeah.
So
Very good.
That goes in because of that.
That should go in. Yes.
Yeah. And for the final run of 3 cars, it's all Le Mans.
Okay.
And we're going to start with Porsche.
Oh, Porsche.
And yeah, not a 911.
No.
In 2005, Porsche developed the RS Spyder. It was built for LMP2 competition, so not the top class of Le Mans, second class.
Mm-hmm.
It had a 3.4 litre V8, and what it did in sports car racing was just ridiculous. It won a huge amount in America, which was where sports cars basically revolved around at the time, in the American Le Mans series. And then it won its class in Le Mans in 2008 and 2009.
Very good. That's properly Le Mans. I mean, you can just look at that and know it's Le Mans.
Yeah, and you think if you found it in the yellow DHL color scheme?
Yeah.
That's the one. For quite some time, I'm not entirely sure if it's still there. They had one at the Porsche Experience Center in Silverstone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, very nice. I'm going to continue on a Porsche theme, and I'm going to pick for various reasons this one. The 2015 Le Mans winning Porsche 919 Hybrid.
Ooh.
It was the first Porsche overall win since 1998.
Okay.
Which is quite a big deal, really.
Ooh. Yeah.
Considering they are the most successful manufacturer in the top class, it was quite a gap between wins.
Mm-hmm.
The car that won, they had 3 919s that year. The car that won was the car that wasn't meant to.
Right.
Considering the 2 others were their star-studded normal lineup. And the one that won was the one with the 2 youngsters and a guy from F1 that wasn't doing so well.
Okay.
So it was driven by Earl Bamber, Nico Hulkenberg, and Nick Tandy. And yeah, the youngsters and the F1 failure won it.
Wow. Very good.
And another little, just a little bit what cements it for me. I was there that year as well. So.
Oh, well, there you are.
Yeah.
Well, then you've got to have one.
Yeah, so we'll have that one.
That's going in. You're going to just sit in that, aren't you?
I think I'm too fat for it.
Yeah. Could be a problem.
Yeah, there might be a width issue on that.
Yeah, okay. You might just sit near it.
Yeah. Yes. Lockdown's not been kind.
No, to any of us.
No. And finally, another Le Mans winning car from 2018, the Toyota TS050 Hybrid, is driven by Fernando Alonso, Sebastian Buemi, and Kazuki Nakajima.
Oh, you got all the names there, haven't you?
Yeah. It was Toyota's first ever win. They came so close in various generations, and let's not mention the year that they retired on the penultimate lap, and I say I nearly burst into tears. I think I cried and started drinking again. I was in a right state.
Yeah.
It was also It was the first Japanese overall win since 1991, which was the Mazda 787B, which to that time was the only Japanese overall win.
Right.
Interestingly, that Mazda got banned immediately.
Right.
Well, being a Mazda, it was Rotary.
Of course.
They trounced the competition and then went, no, you can bugger off with that, I think.
Yes, that's a completely different sort of car.
Yes, and what a
Yes.
sound.
Yeah, I bet.
I've been at Le Mans since, where it was that car had been showcased and some demo laps, and it sounds demonic.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
It hurts when it drives past.
Right.
And you think, that was one demo lap. That went for 24 hours. How would it not ruptured
dear.
people's eardrums?
How were they allowed? I mean, presumably they knew beforehand that it was a rotary engine, or didn't they?
Yeah. Well, Le Mans very traditional. On the even at the time, I suppose it would have been the Monday. The scrutineering is very public. You can go along to scrutineering and watch the cars go through the entire process. It's done very openly.
Yeah.
So all these cars have to be checked and passed in a very public domain.
Well, how did that get in then?
Well, it passed, and then they changed the rules because they went, well, no, we can't have that.
Oh, I see. Well, that's not particularly fair on Mazda then, was it?
No, I mean, you think, well, that's the way it works with a Rotary, because if you measure the displacement, it's actually quite small.
Yeah.
But
well,
it's not really.
They're tiny engines if you measure it in the usual way, yeah.
So, yes, there we go.
Oh, there you go. Interesting. Well, yes. Some very interesting choices there. You've justified that well.
Okay, that's good. Okay, well,
yes,
you'll happily visit that section.
Well, maybe not very often.
You'll love it.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll bring in the crowds, which is
yes.
what we're looking for. Yeah.
So
right, just my last section then.
What my dad had.
Yeah, that's right. Or what anyone's dad might have had.
Yes.
Now, this is very much of my era. Obviously, different people are going to have different things, but this is very much the cars that I recall my friends' parents having or seeing around, or that sort of thing when I was growing up, which would have been second half of the 70s, early 80s. And this, it's other people will have different choices, but this is what the sort of stuff that speaks to me. None of these are like you were doing with your 911s. These are not going to be fancy models. These are going to be base spec or sort of average spec. We haven't got. There's no room for a GTI here. So I'm starting off with a Ford Sierra.
Nice.
I'm thinking probably a good sort of middle of the road, sort of maybe a 1.6 or possibly a 2-liter GL, maybe even an estate. I think would be appropriate.
Yeah.
I did like the Sierra estate with the built-in roof bars. It was one of the first cars to do that.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
And maybe a little bit of sunroof and obviously velour.
Well, that's the only thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
lovely.
So yeah, of course, then you would have to have the GL because the L would have only have had the fabric seats.
Quite, yes.
Yes. In fact, I'm not even sure it would have had a radio then. So original generation Sierra. So we'd have been early 80s. I think on that one. Fairly boggo Ford Sierra. Along the same lines, I think you'd have to have a Vauxhall Cavalier.
I think it's only fair to have the Vauxhall equivalent.
I think so. I think so. Now, the Cavalier estate didn't sell as well as the Sierra estate, so it may have to be the 5-door hatch. Not sure. And I'd probably go for a Mark II.
Yeah, I think that's quite age appropriate.
Be from the right era. Yeah, I think so. Now we're moving towards British Leyland here for a while. Now this is a a subject that we touch on a lot, but I think it wouldn't be right to not include a Rover SD1.
Right. Yeah.
Got to be, hasn't it?
Yeah. I fully agree on that one.
Got to be. Got to have an SD1. Probably not the V8.
No.
But I think it's got to be. It'd probably be in brown or something like that.
Oh, that seems quite apt, doesn't it?
I think so. Now, sitting next to that, I would like to see an Austin Montego.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were everywhere
Mm.
when I was of an age. Absolutely everywhere. I'd probably go for a saloon, not the estate in this case. Quite like the saloon. It was actually quite a good looking car. It clearly wasn't a very good car, but it was quite a good looking car.
Yeah, it did look all right. It was just it didn't age well, did it? They didn't.
No, it didn't.
It was always behind the competition, really.
Yeah, it was. They struggled a bit, didn't they, with that? And of course, one of its strongest competitors, and a real favourite of mine, the Nissan Bluebird. Oh, got to have that in there. Again, probably the 5-door hatch, although there was an estate. But yeah, I really liked those. There used to be a taxi firm around here at that time that ran them. So you often saw a Bluebird whizzing around.
Yeah, it's the perfect mini cab, isn't it?
They were pretty bulletproof.
Mm.
You can go too far wrong with a Nissan of that era. But while we're on the subject of bulletproof, I would like to slot in a Volvo 240 estate. It's got to be there, I think.
Well, there's plenty of them still going to this day.
Well, there is,
without
isn't there?
too much care and attention, really.
Yeah, you do see them. There's one advertised locally at the moment, and you look at it, you think, actually, that looks quite decent.
Yeah.
And like you say, it's not a car that's been mollycoddled. I mean, it's out there, and it just kind of keeps going.
Yeah, just good cars.
You just can't kill them. So I think we've got to have a Volvo 240 in that section. Got to do it. Now, the next choice, a bit more unusual, perhaps, and perhaps for the slightly more well-heeled father, but they were around. Mercedes W123.
Yeah, I think we've all got a soft spot there.
No, I think we do, don't we? They're just so nice. They were rather prone to the old tin worm, so a lot of them have gone, but they were every again a popular taxi. They were just everywhere. Now, my final choice for this section is one that always causes much mirth and merriment. They were everywhere when I was a kid, and that's the Larder Reaver.
They really were, and they were around for a long time.
Again, you couldn't kill them.
No. When you were a kid, when I was a kid, they were just there.
They were. On every street corner, there was one. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they were cheap, solid, rugged motoring, weren't they? You could see why people bought them.
Well, that's it. I mean, if it can endure a Russian winter, it can cope with a bit of rain in England, can't it?
Exactly. They just would not go wrong. So I can see they were a bit like the Skoda of that era, you know, when Skoda really was Skoda, before VW got hold of it and turned it into actually quite a decent car. It was the original, were they the Estelle, the rear-engined ones?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they were everywhere at that time as well. But for the same reason, they were pretty solid. But I think the Larder, really, in both saloon and estate form, yeah,
plentiful at the time.
Yeah, absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, it's a good choice. They would have been on many a driveway at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. They were. Another car that fitted into that category, actually, which could go in here. Do you remember the FSO Polonaise?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was another one that was kind of rugged. And yeah, there was quite a lot of those around for a short period of time.
Yeah, they didn't have the longevity of the larders, but
No,
yeah, they were knocking about for a while.
yeah, they were. But I think in terms of this, I'd have to have a larder in there.
No, I completely agree, and yeah, there's that nostalgia thing, and I'd like that in there.
Yeah, this is very much a nostalgic section, and I think yes, we'd be wrong not to have a larder in there.
Yeah, I like that.
There are many choices that could go into that section. It could be huge, but I've tried to keep it fairly focused. Ford, Vauxhall, Rover, Nissan, Volvo, Mercedes, and Lada, I think, is a good all-round selection.
Very good. No, happy with that,
Yes.
mate. Yep,
So there
like that.
we are. That's the Stuff and Waffle Museum.
Oh no, don't worry. I've still got another section, mate.
Oh, you got another section.
Yeah.
Ah, I thought we'd go. Oh well,
No,
bonus material.
bonus material, yeah. Which actually is quite a nice segue. I mean, wildly different, but
Oh, we should put a segue in.
oh yeah. Well, if we're going to need to get around the place,
I was going
God.
to see we need a couple just to get around. Yes.
Now this section, it's a nice little segue from where you were with my dad had one and nostalgia and being a child. I've gone complete extreme. While it conjures up memories of childhood, it's the stuff that you could never have.
Very good. The
So
polar opposite of what I've
yeah,
just done. Right?
yeah. So we're heading into 90s supercars,
Oh,
which for me, I think is the heyday of the supercar.
yeah.
And
Well, it was before health and safety and emissions and all that kind of got hold of them, wasn't it?
yeah, it was that last era before it got ruined.
Yeah.
And this is the room of mine that I think you'll want to visit the most.
Okay.
And to no one's going to be surprised. The first one on the list is the Jaguar XJ220.
Beautiful. I was hoping it would appear somewhere.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, I can't see it in anyone else's museum, so it's going in ours.
Is it?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to get your own.
Yeah,
Yes.
just get me own. It's fine. So don't worry about that.
Excellent. That is our third Jaguar, I believe.
That is our third, and
yes. And I've just realised I didn't put an XJR in the muscle section, but I did have an S-Type R, so I'm all right.
yeah. Actually, I might say a little spoiler here. This isn't the last Jaguar.
Oh,
Oh,
be still.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll build up to it.
Good.
I'm going to bookend this. You watch.
Very good.
The next one is just a car that is incredibly special, incredibly flawed, troubled history.
The best supercars always are.
Lawsuits, wonderful little Italian documentaries on YouTube that you need the subtitles on for. The Bugatti EB110.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I remember that being on old Top Gear. I remember
Yes.
the models that I had, and I just think this is perfection.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't. It was a complete shambles.
It's awful.
But,
I mean,
yes.
just V12, 4 turbos, just lunacy.
Yeah.
Michael Schumacher had one. There you go.
Oh, there you go. Well, he was. Yeah.
That was when he was driving for Benetton at the time, and that was his little treat to himself.
Okay. Very good.
And you'll like this as well. His teammate at the time, Martin Brundle, went and drove it. Michael said, "Oh no, take it for a spin, see what you think." And Martin Brundle at the time said, "Don't know. I think it's a bit crap."
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, he looks back on it these days with a bit more fondness, but yeah, at the time he was not enamored with it.
Bubble burst.
Yeah. There you go. No list is complete without the McLaren F1.
True. Yeah, it's got to be, isn't it? Got to be.
I don't want any fancy versions. I want completely original.
Yes.
I just think the absolute cleanness of those first cars.
Yeah. They're such a good looking
Love
car.
it.
Yeah, not the one that Rowan Atkinson crashed. Yes,
It's-
it's lovely. Yeah, there's
Mm.
one of those in the Peterson actually.
Lovely things.
Yes,
Yeah, we'll have that.
very good.
A car that wasn't conceived in the 90s, but production continued until 92, so I feel it should be in here, and that's the Ferrari F40.
Yeah, of course it should.
That wonderful, just small displacement V8 twin turbo, carbon body, just
Yeah, good.
lightweight, no fanciness, all the turbo lag, and then death.
Yes.
Yep.
You summed that up well.
Yeah. Absolutely brilliant. And I think, was that the last car that Enzo Ferrari saw before he died?
I don't know, but you could be right.
I think it must have been around that time.
Yeah, you could well be right.
And by complete contrast, we could come on to Porsche and the 959.
Oh, of course.
The technologically advanced car in comparison to the F40. Still,
Yes.
small displacement, twin turbo, but all the electronic gubbins, the four-wheel drive, a very different take on it, but a very similar end product.
Bill Gates had one.
He did. We
Yes.
touched on that before. He had one, but he couldn't use it.
No. That's right.
No, Porsche didn't want to do any crash tests to pass it in America. Went, nah, that's fine. So
No, but it didn't stop him. It didn't stop him buying one.
Well, he had plenty of land to drive it on. He's fine.
He did. Yeah.
Lamborghini Diablo.
Ooh, dirty.
Yep. And I'm thinking really early doors one. Still with the pop-ups, 2-wheel drive, 6-litre. Yes. A bit of that.
Yeah. No argument there. Yeah.
Okay. And to borrow from the styling, I know we've mentioned this one before, actually, and that's the Cizeta V16T.
Oh, blimey.
I think you did that last time and went, what the bloody hell's that? And I went,
Yes.
oh, yeah. It looks similar to a Diablo, funnily enough, because somewhere along the line we've got same designers and a bit of weirdness along the way.
I remember. Yeah.
In fact, to this day now, you can still, I believe, go to Cizeta or whatever incarnation they are at this particular moment, and you can have one of these new.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, you can go to them and say, "I'll have one."
Blimey.
There was quite a period where that wasn't possible, but now I think it started up again.
You
and if
can
you're
actually
enough,
go and you can buy one. Wow.
Yep. So
there you go. Very good.
Yep, that's a nice bit of weirdness there for you.
Oh, got to add some weirdness in there.
And continue the Ferrari theme as well. We've had the F40, so might as well have the F50.
Oh, I think so.
Supposedly the Formula One car for the road. There's a bit of a push. Well, you could argue that the engine was derived from Formula One. It was heavily modified. The engine was bolted to the chassis as kind of a stress member, as if it were a Formula One car, but it's just there were too many differences, but it was still a wild ride.
Yeah.
The styling bothers some people.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, but it's I got a lot of time for it.
Then it should go in.
Yep. I said to you there wouldn't be any more 911s, didn't I?
Yep.
However, there is a roof CTR, or as it's more commonly known, Yellowbird.
Okay.
Let's
look this up then.
It's not a 911, but it
is
kind
it
of
not?
Is.
But it kind of is. Yeah.
But it kind of is.
I think it certainly looks like one.
But it's made by Roof. Honest.
Hmm. Is
so
it?
yeah. Now that is a cool car. Really very special. German.
Talk me through it then. Talk me through it.
Okay. So it's got it. Obviously, it started life as a 911.
I think that's fairly obvious. Yes.
It's a highly tuned version of Porsche's 3.2 flat six.
Okay.
So it was essentially that was the starting point. So it was bored out to a 3.4, given twin turbos. But you can see from the styling, it maintained that sleekness. It didn't have the full bulge of the turbos of the era. It didn't have that colossally wide stance.
No.
The body panels were lightened. There was an integrated roll cage, upgraded suspension, upgraded brakes, uprated gearbox, new bumpers.
Mm-hmm. Flush fitting door handles for the look of it as well.
Yeah. So yeah, it was
special. I'm not sure I was aware of that.
And here you go. Is an interesting one. I think I'd have to check my facts on this. But there's a pervy Porsche feature in 1972. In a similar way that there's a side filler for the petrol. In 1972, there was a side filler for the oil.
Okay.
And I believe the Yellowbird had that feature. I think.
The pictures I'm looking at, it looks like it's got the filler on top of the front wing, as it would be on an ordinary 911.
Yeah, but the rear, the oil filler was at the rear, behind the door.
Right. It wasn't in with the fuel. No.
No. It was a separate filler cap, and I believe the reason they did it, and it was a reinstation of this, is this very pervy Porsche fact from 1 year only. The reason they did that is because the oil tank on the car had to be moved because of the intercooler placement, because of the twin turbos.
Okay. So, yes, that is very dirty fact. Yes. Yes.
We aim to please. So there you go.
Wow.
There's a bit of that. And I did promise you a Jaguar bookend.
You did. What have you chosen?
And that would be very much a motorsport derived and influenced Jaguar XJR 15.
Ooh. Ah, yes. Okay. Yes, I recall it now you've mentioned it.
Oh, yes. That's all right then.
Yes, I'm with you now. Yes, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. Yeah. That fits in nicely with that little collection. Yeah.
Yeah, that collection is going to kill you.
Yeah, pretty much whichever one you choose. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot there. I think probably the most terrifying will be that Yellowbird, actually.
Yes, probably, because you've not put in any early Lambos, which would be fairly terrifying.
Yeah, I think that Yellowbird with the uprated engine plus twin turbos, lightweight body, it's just going to kill you.
Is that your favourite?
No, it's still gonna, in that room, it'll still be the XJ220.
Good.
Yeah, that doesn't change, I don't think. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's not an easy car to drive, is it?
No, God, no.
None of these cars are overburdened with driving aids or anything to save you.
Pretty much all of them are a complete dog's breakfast from that point of view. Yes.
I think actually probably the Porsche 959 is the most advanced in terms of technology and will will save you from being a complete arse.
Yes.
But the rest of them are death machines.
If you're popping down to get a sour milk in the morning, you're not picking something from that room, are you? Really? No.
No, it's not going to be safe.
No.
But so yes, there we are.
Wow, there we are. Yeah.
That's the Stuff and Waffle Automotive Gloriousness collection. General perviness is all done there.
.com. Yes.
Quick, let's get the domain.
Yeah, get it bought.
Yeah.
Very good. I think we've done well there.
Yes, not upset with that in the slightest.
A beautiful mix of vehicles there.
Yeah.
We better get shopping then, don't we?
Well, as long as we know people with the cars, we don't actually have to shop, so it's fine.
No, that's true. That's a good point. Yes.
But looking at the list there, I don't know how many we'd get. I don't know anyone offhand who's got, well, any of them really.
Any of them.
Let's fire out a few emails and see what.
That's a very good point. Yeah, some of those are not going to be easy to track down.
It's fine. A few phone calls. Once the ball's rolling.
Although, could probably get us a Mark 1 Focus fairly sharpish, and I'll only need about 200 quid.
Oh, no, don't be silly. Second-hand car prices have gone daft.
Okay, 500 quid.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lovely, lovely museum.
Oh, it is. Just need to find someone to run the cafe.
Oh, we'll find someone. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
And just pop in an overpriced gift shop and it's all finished.
Oh, we're all there then, aren't we? Yeah. Very good. I'm up for it. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's write the business plan.
Well, I think that's probably enough of that for this week. Check us out on all the various social medias and things. Thank you very much for listening.